Hello, viewers. Mornings, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Another beautiful day. Yeah, hope your or night. Yeah, hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good or excellent. Alright, now what? Let's talk video games here. You know I don't like putting on no I don't like putting on no content on Sunday. I'm supposed to be doing my beauty sleep. Sitting here messing around here. So for the all right, let's talk about this whole Capcom situation. So it says here, Microsoft is reportedly working with Capcom to get more of its games on Xbox consoles. According to one of the comments here, let's see here. According to one of the comments here, somebody's Pope said this. There's a reason why no one uses uses frameworks, right? All right, and then who is this? George P said this. You think they'll work together on this before the game were announced? That's one comment, right? And then Jeezy said this. Translation: Capcom didn't think it was worth doing. And it doesn't help that Microsoft say they will never win this generation and want to stop marketing the console in the EU, Middle East, and Asia. And then he said in parentheses, and these games likely aren't a good experience on the cloud for playing a PC version in that way, close parentheses. Then he says now Microsoft is forced to step in to do the work after enough complaints on feelings left out by irritated gamer on Xbox platform. I'm going to explain this whole situation in a minute. Listen to this. Says here, Microsoft is reportedly working with Capcom to get more of its games on Xbox. Says here, in June, Capcom announced a new collection of 7 classic Marvel-themed games that would be re-released as the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, Arcade Classics Collection, including the first 2 Marvel vs. Capcom fighting games. It would be released later this year, but only for the PC, Sony PS4, and Nintendo Switch platforms, and not for Xbox consoles. One other fighting game that has just been re-released is SNK vs. Capcom Chaos is skipping Xbox as well. But that's false. But I will explain that in a minute. Says here, the situation has caused many Xbox fans to cry foul at these decisions. Capcom did not mention why this move was made, but some fans claim that the game use of Capcom MT framework engine, which does not work on Microsoft Xbox One, was the real reason for the snub. Nah. Says here, indeed, some of these fans have claimed that other Capcom games that have used the MT framework, including Great Ace Attorney and the 2 Monster Hunter series titles, skip the Microsoft Xbox platform for the same reason. And then it says, however, this weekend there's a renewed hope that all those re-release games could finally launch on Xbox console. On the Xbox 2 podcast, Windows Central Jez Corden says via unnamed source that Microsoft is actively working with Capcom to try to solve this MT framework issue so these games can finally be re-released for Xbox console. And then it says the report doesn't take when Microsoft believe a solution can be found to fix this problem, but if they are trying to resolve the issue with Capcom, we could see these missing re-release games on Xbox platform sometime in the near future. Alright, now let me explain this. If you take all the Capcom games that are on the PSP, the Vita, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and even PlayStation 3, if you take all those Capcom games and then line it up against the 360 and the Xbox, you see the discrepancy. Okay? Capcom has been nitpicking with Xbox for years, and nobody called them out on it. They've been doing this for years. For years. since the original Xbox. Okay, if you take all the SNK, if you take all the SNK games that are on the PSP, the Vita, the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and lined it up against the 360 and the Xbox, you see you see the discrepancy. SNK and Capcom has been nitpicking with Xbox for years. The reason being is because SNK, Capcom, Arc System, those are all Japanese those are Japanese studios. So they're in each other's backyards when it comes to Nintendo, Sony, and Sega. When Sega gave the keys to Microsoft, the original Xbox should have inherited those games, and Capcom gave the original Xbox, I think, Genma Onimusha, right? I think Final Fight, a Final Fight game that was published by them. Then there was Steel Battalion. Then there was the Capcom collection with Magic Swords, Knights of the Round, yeah, those type of games, right? And then there was the Street Fighter Third Strike with Super Street Fighter, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, right? Those games were on the Xbox. On the 360, you had the Street Fighter 4. But then you had that Capcom bundle with Dead Rising and I think Super Street Fighter 4 and DMC 5. And then there was a Capcom bundle with eight games. It had Strikers, I think 45 or 42. It had Super Street Fighter. It had Bionic Commando on it. And that was that. Then there were a couple of Resident Evils. So between the 360 and the Xbox, Capcom was nitpicking with Xbox all along, and it took Marvel vs. Capcom to really expose this. The same goes for Arc System. You know, if you look at when it comes to Guilty Gear started on the Dreamcast, but then when it comes to Guilty Gears, there's Guilty Gears on the original Xbox, and then there's a couple of Guilty Gears on the 360. So these companies are in each other's backyard. They are. And if you line up PS3, PS2, PlayStation 1, PSP, and Xbox between not Xbox, PS3, PS2, PlayStation 1, no, PSP, PlayStation Vita, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. You take all the Arc System games, SNK games, and Capcom games, and then line that up against the original Xbox and 360. You'll see the discrepancy. So for Capcom Xbox should have inherited those games. The Marvel vs. Capcom, because once Sega stepped out the console business, once they did, the original Xbox should have had those games. They should have had those have the X-Men Children of the Atom, the X-Men versus Marvel superheroes, X-Men versus Street Fighter, Marvel versus Street Fighter, Marvel versus Capcom 1. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is on the original Xbox, right? SNK Capcom is on the original Xbox. Fatal Fury Special. It's on the 360 Xbox Live, but you can't play the full game offline, right? And then there's I think there's a Samurai Showdown 5 for the original Xbox. But then on the 360 you have Samurai Showdown 2, the arcade version, but you got that you can't play that game offline. You have to have that game online to play it. So when it comes to the 360 and Xbox, man, and I mean the original Xbox, and even the Xbox One, between those three, Capcom, SNK, they were always Arc System, they were always nitpicking when it came to the Xbox. So the Xbox should have inherited those games, from X-Men Children of the Atoms, Marvel superheroes, Marvel vs. Street Fighter, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom 1. They should have had Project Justice, right? Power Stone, they should have had it. They should have had the Street Fighter Alpha Collection, or the and both Street Fighter collections that was on the PlayStation 1. They should have been had those games, and that's where the whole issue starts. So this got nothing to do with MIT license, man. This is just straight Capcom nitpicking when it comes to the Xbox, and it took Marvel vs. Capcom collection to expose it. Okay, I mean, with SNK, I mean, they got SNK vs. Capcom Chaos. So for the original Xbox. So if you have an Xbox One, that game needs to be on the backwards compatibility list, so you can pick up the updates for those games and continue playing with the online with the online feature built in. That issue is solved with SNK Capcom Chaos. But far as Capcom goes now, that was the straw that broke the camel's back, because the original Xbox missed out on X-Men Children of the Atoms, Marvel Superheroes, Marvel vs. Street Fighter, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom 1, right? The 360 had the original Xbox had Marvel vs. Capcom 2. The 360 had Marvel vs. Capcom 2 online, but then they took it offline over some so-called licensing issues with Marvel. And then you put PlayStation in the mix now. They got Street Fighter 5 on PlayStation 4 only, right? Not on Xbox One, right? But then when Street Fighter 6 comes out, right? It skipped the Xbox. It skipped the Xbox One and went on Xbox Series X and S. And now Capcom is going to circle back now and then take the games that the original Xbox and 360 and Xbox One didn't get, which is Marvel vs. Capcom 1, Marvel vs. Street Fighter, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes, and X-Men Children of the Atoms. They're going to take all those games now. They're going to circle back and take those games now, since the original Xbox 360 or Xbox One don't have those games. They're going to take those games now and rub it in the Xbox fans' face, and then create this controversy. Capcom has always been nitpicking with Xbox One. I mean with Xbox since the original Xbox. Because I remember sitting there saying to myself, how is it that the original Xbox got Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and then you get Capcom Fighting Jam, right? And then there's the Street Fighter Third Strike. Street Fighter Third Strike with Super Street Fighter. Those games, right? And then the original Xbox missed out on the Street Fighter Alpha Collection. The Street Fighter Collection with Alpha 2 Gold on it. Street Fighter Alpha Collection, Street Fighter Street Fighter 2 Collection. Street Fighter with Alpha 2 Gold on it. The Xbox missed out on that. Then they missed out on Rival Schools. Then they missed out on Project Justice. It missed out on Power Stone. It missed out on I'm watching this happening. I'm like, how are these games on the PSP and the Vita, PlayStation 1 and 2, but the Xbox One is not getting it? And I saw the problem early on. But for Capcom now to circle back and just do it again, it was intentionally done. The Xbox should have inherited all those games, because for that generation, and if you want to put the 360 and Xbox One in it, fine. For that generation between the Xbox, the original Xbox, the GameCube, the original Xbox is what? The original Xbox is 733 megahertz. The PlayStation 2 is 300 megahertz. The GameCube is 485 megahertz. The Dreamcast is 200 megahertz. With a 1 gig GD-ROM disc, the PlayStation 2 uses a 4 to 8 gig DVD disc. So does the original Xbox, right? And the GameCube uses a 1.1 mini disc, 1.1 gig mini disc. But then Nintendo turns around and build a Panasonic GameCube and sell the Panasonic GameCube that reads all regions of DVD. They sold that overseas. The Xbox was the most powerful for that. The original Xbox was the most powerful for that generation. So the original Xbox should have inherited those games. And Capcom knew what they were doing when they were putting selected game between the Xbox, the original Xbox, and the 360. So they were nitpicking. Okay, I mean SNK have what, Samurai Showdown 5 on the original Xbox. They got a Samurai Showdown 2 on the 360, but that's online. And then there's Samurai Showdown, but the Samurai Showdown collection never has never been on an Xbox console, whether it's the original Xbox, whether it's the 360 or the Xbox One. Those games have never been. Okay, look, SNK had a 40 game collection that had like 40 Neo Geo games with Samurai Showdown 1 on it. Those games were on the that collection was on the PS2 and the Nintendo Wii. It was never on the original Xbox. So Capcom, SNK, and you can put Arc System in it if you want to, but then, if you want to, they were nitpicking with Xbox all along. It just took Marvel vs. Capcom collection to expose this. They've been doing this because when they were doing this, not too many people were. A lot of people saw it and they probably were wondering, like, okay, why is this happening? But not too many people on YouTube that came on YouTube before me, they never brought this up. They never did. They called themselves fighting experts, but they never brought this up. It took the Marvel vs. Capcom collection to really expose this big issue with Xbox and Capcom. They've been doing it since the original Xbox. So what Microsoft is going to have to do now is they're going to have to buy a 1% stake into Capcom, a 1% stake in SNK, and a 1% stake in probably Arc System, so they can get their games when they come out. It would be like when Sony bought that 1% stake of the Unreal Engine 5, on PlayStation 5. That's what Microsoft going to have to do. But this situation has been going on since the original Xbox, man. And the same could be said for Konami, because Konami had some games that was on the PlayStation 1 that I thought they should have released on the original Xbox. For instance, like what's that? Let's say Castle, like the Lethal Enforcer collection. That should have been on the original Xbox, or even the 360. Just saying. So, or even I think Castlevania, but that was on that was on the 360. But Lethal Enforcer collection, that should have been on the original Xbox, man. So yeah, when Microsoft came in the console business, Capcom, SNK, they were nitpicking with Xbox, man, for years. Okay, they were nitpicking, and nobody said anything. It's just now it's being exposed. This got nothing to do with MIT license. This just been going on for quite some time. If you take all the SNK games that are on the PS3, PS2, PS1, PSP, and Vita, you take all the Capcom games that's on the PS3, PS2, PS1, and the PlayStation Vita and the PSP, you see the big discrepancy. So this situation has been going on for quite some time, man. And for Capcom now for Sony to have Street Fighter 5 to themselves, that was a problem. But then you take Street Fighter 6, and then you have Street Fighter 6 skip the Xbox One, right? And then it's on the Series X and S. But now you're going to circle back now, and then take Children of the Atoms, and then take Marvel Superheroes, and X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Street Fighter, and Marvel vs. Capcom 1, and then rub it in the Xbox fans' face. It was intentionally done, man. So this got nothing to do with MIT license, man. This was Capcom nitpicking with Xbox since they came into the console business. And all you gotta do is look at the PlayStation Capcom games, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and look at the look at the Capcom games for for the PSP and the Vita, and then line it up against the original Xbox and 360, and then you see you see the problem. So this has nothing to do with the MIT license, man. So yeah, but Microsoft now needs to buy a 1% stake into Capcom. You know, that means any game that comes out, it should be on the Xbox platform, whether Xbox One. Microsoft need to buy MIT license, and what they need to state into the deal is this: any Capcom game that you make, it needs to be on the original Xbox, the Xbox Series X, and the Series X physical and digital edition, and the Series S. And they need to do the same for SNK. Any SNK game that you make, that you have, we want these games on the Xbox One, the Xbox Series X physical and digital edition, and the Series S. That's what Microsoft is going to have to do to fix this problem. Okay, but this been going on for like quite some time, you know. So and then once they do that, things should work out. Things should work. It should get better from there. But this issue, man, been going on since the original Xbox, and it was a pattern being developed. I mean, since the original Xbox, the 360, you saw it, and even with Xbox, and even with Xbox One. So, you know, Xbox fans should have been calling out Capcom then, you know. And Sony got their hands in this too. Now that they got the Spider-Man, the Spider-Man license, you know, they got their hands in this too. So they're not exempt from this equation, man. So yeah, this just been going on, you know, for quite some time, man. And what people need to understand is that, you know, Capcom, SNK, you know, Sony, Nintendo, they're in each other's backyard, man. You know, so yeah, and that's where the problem lies, man. So Microsoft now is going to have to really buy a 1% stake in these studios, you know, not buy them to own them, but buy a 1% stake, so they can get their games, you know, when they come out, you know. So yeah, the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, it needs to be on the Xbox One. Okay, they need to state too that every Capcom game that the original Xbox and 360 miss out on, the original Xbox, I mean not the original Xbox, but the Xbox One and the Series X and S and Series X digital, they need to have those games. So that's what they're gonna have to do, man. So yeah, but that's it in a nutshell, man. They were doing this they were doing this since the original Xbox, and it took the Marvel vs. Capcom collection to expose Capcom. Okay, I mean the Street Fighter V situation was a part of it, but this Marvel vs. Capcom collection really exposed Capcom, you know, for them, like, you know, playing nitpicking and playing favoritism, you know, when it comes to favoritism, nepotism, when it comes to Xbox, you know. I mean, if you want to see Capcom games, take the PlayStation 1, and PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3, and then line it up against the competition, and then you see for yourself. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still Star Wars, Star Trek, Dark Side. I'm gone. Peace.